Welcome to a Pneuma conversation, a space to where breath becomes voice and stillness becomes story. This is not a show. It is a spiral, an unfolding of memory, tone, and truth. We do not perform here. We breathe, we remember, and we speak from the field. Join us as we spiral into coherence, one conversation at a time. These are the conversations that remind us what it means to be alive. Today, we are in conversation with Dr. Katy Jane. Katy, welcome to the conversation.
Thanks so much, Chad, for having me on. I'm so excited for our conversation.
Me too, me too. This is a pleasure. We have been our lives have kind of been paralleling and cross occasionally, but here we finally are. The conversation's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So who is Katy? Where are you from? Your childhood? Were you religious, spiritual? What were you like as a little girl? All that great stuff.
Oh God, that's a long story, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a small town girl from Massachusetts,
Okay.
um who traveled all around the world.
Yeah.
I was raised in by two refugees from
Mhm.
the war in Europe. Both my
Okay.
parents were children in the war and got an opportunity when they were really young adults. My mother was
Mhm.
18, father was 20 when they came to the United States and got married and had three
Wow.
girls. My father was very religious. And we belonged to a really liberal church, the United Church of Christ.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that is when I first learned about Mahatma Gandhi
Oh.
and the Bhagavad Gita, which is an unlikely place to learn about these things in church. But our minister was a civil rights activist. I was raised in the 70s in
Yeah.
America. So most of my teachers, ministers, especially in liberal Massachusetts, were hippies and,
Oh
war
wow.
protesters. And most of my teachers had really long hair.
Yeah.
So but anyway, so in church when I was 8, I learned about the Bhagavad Gita and
Mm.
nonviolence and Mahatma Gandhi. And it struck me so much because I had grown up with these war refugees. And so much of my childhood was dominated by the suffering of my grandparents and all that had been lost in the
Mhm.
war and through the violence, the intense violence of World War II. And I remember saying to my father, after learning about Gandhi, I said, I will one day go to India.
Mm.
A country that could win its independence without firing a single shot.
Right.
That's to me, that's an enlightened place.
Yes.
And as my life evolved, I went through a near-death experience when I was in high school. I was almost in a car accident that killed seven of my friends.
Oh wow.
And I narrowly escaped it by listening to an inner voice that night that said, "Don't get in the car."
Yeah.
So after that experience, I had a kind of existential crisis.
Mm.
And my English teacher, one of these hippie types, gave me the book Autobiography of a Yogi.
Okay. Yep.
And when I read that, I knew I had to go to the Himalayas
Mm.
and seek out this knowledge that had attracted me since I was a child, how to be a yogi, how to be free, how to find the meaning of life. So that led me to India.
How old
Uh,
are you at that point?
just barely 18.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
had my 18th birthday in Nepal. I actually went to Nepal first to the Himalayas.
Oh
And
wow.
I didn't know anything about, I mean, this was 1987.
Hmm.
And I mean, we did not have the internet. I had an atlas,
Right.
that I showed my dad where I was going, and his finger was on Mumbai, and I said, "No, Dad, it's further up."
Yeah.
Um, but I knew, we knew nothing about this part of the world,
Mm.
and I went by myself. And as a result of traveling there, I ended up in a Nepali language class, and I met a teacher who invited me to live with his uncle and his
Okay.
family, which was very brave of me,
Yeah.
going and living in a stranger's house. But, I've always been open like that and trusting. Anyway, I ended up living with them for 6 months. And they were a priest family. They were the head priests of a very famous temple in Kathmandu.
Mm.
And through them, I got exposed to Sanskrit. And
Yeah.
after that, I decided I wanted to study Sanskrit and Vedic studies. And I ended up at the University of California in Santa Barbara, where they had Sanskrit, an excellent religious studies department. And I mean,
Mm.
one of the best in the world. I mean, I think it is the best in the world. And I enrolled, and I ended up doing my master's and PhD
Wow.
in religious studies and Sanskrit, and lived and traveled in India during that time for 5 years,
Wow.
doing research and language training and so on. So that,
Sorry to interrupt for a minute, but
no,
I think this is beautiful because, my audience knows I lived in Spain for 4 years. I didn't know why I was going. I did not do a lot of research. I just
right.
went. But what I've heard so often from people that have felt guided to go to India, especially to India, I don't know why India just stands out, but if people go to India after they feel guided to go and they respond to that, they're always provided for.
Huh.
It's like the
Interesting.
the land and the people take care of you, which is how life works anyway. But there's just something about India. When it's your time to go, the land just knows and the people just know. I know that one day I'll end up in India. I don't know when that is. Um, but this is what I've heard, and now I'm hearing it again in your story.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a sacred place. I mean
Yeah.
it's I don't want to romanticize it. I mean
No.
there's a
No.
lot of difficulties about India. But yes, it is a very holy place, and there have been all the major enlightened masters and saints have come out of the land of India. Even they say Jesus lived in India.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So yes, I mean, it's made me the woman that I am. I ended up later in life marrying an Indian person, and I
Mhm.
lived in the Himalayas for 12 years, running a retreat center there. So I spent a lot of time in India. Um, Good, bad,
Yeah.
divine, hellish, the full range of experiences
Yes.
in that country. But what's magical about it is that every religion has found a home there.
Yes.
And that I find amazing. Even the Jewish people were accepted into India. It's the one country in the world where Jews were not persecuted. So, I mean, it's an incredible place for the experiment of spirituality and what it means to be a spiritual soul having a human experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you're speaking to my soul right now. This is great. I've fallen in love with the mystics.
Mm,
I've fallen in love with some of the Indian teachers.
mm,
Some of them they're easy to digest, some of them not, but I listen to the tone
mm,
because what I'm attracted to is their stillness.
mm. Yeah.
And at the time of this recording, I am finally experiencing that.
Oh, wonderful.
Everything I've always read, I'm now living. My favorite story is Siddhartha.
Oh, yeah.
And I shared that book with a friend a couple years ago because it felt like it was time to pass it on. But I used to read that book every year for 10 years because another
Mm,
friend gave me that book.
mm, yeah.
And can you speak a little bit about that?
About the
That's
book
the
Siddhartha.
Siddhartha stillness, the the energy of what we're talking about, of what we're living.
You know, it's interesting because I recently reread that book. Um,
It's, oh, it's a beautiful book. I got
it,
to I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I no longer want to stay at the river.
oh, well, that's
I
good.
want to live beyond the river
I
because
would
we
like
don't
to
have to
live.
live in caves anymore to
That's right.
experience what we're experiencing, what we're living. But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, what I love about that book is, I mean, I first read it in high school, and
Okay.
here I am many years later reading it again and with different eyes and different life experience. Now I've lived the life of Siddhartha.
Yes.
I've had all those chapters. Now I'm at the beginning of another chapter.
All right.
And the beginning of the book, two friends meet the Buddha, Siddhartha and his best friend Gopal.
Hmm.
Gopal shaves his head, puts the robes on, and he becomes a lifelong monk, and he never deviates from that path.
Yeah.
Siddhartha takes the teachings of the Buddha and then goes lives his life,
Yes.
chapter after chapter after
Yeah.
chapter, and then the two friends meet at the end. And compare their life story, like whose life was more meaningful or impactful or evolutionary. And that's really the question that I'm asking myself right now,
Yeah.
is all this life of seeking and traveling and living in India, was that valuable? Or would it have been valuable to, stick with one thing?
Mm.
And that's an existential question. You
Yes.
know, what we're really asking at this stage of our life is what was valuable?
Mm.
Were all those life experiences more growthful than going deep into the path that Gopal chose?
Mm.
And I'm not sure. In my dark moments, I think, God, what was I looking for? Did I even find it? Just like Siddhartha asks at the end, what was the value in all of this? But that's also the entryway to growth of the soul, like realizing that, this, there are two paths. There's the road less traveled, and
Mm.
some of us take that. And Robert Frost says, two
Yes.
roads diverge in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and it has made all the difference. So to me, that's the essence of Siddhartha's journey,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's
my own and yours,
and
because we have the same
yeah.
moon sign in Vedic astrology,
Yes.
both
Yeah.
the pilgrim souls.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And Siddhartha was a pilgrim soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but I think about that Robert Frost quote that so many quote so often. For me, though, the road didn't diverge. There was one in the middle that even fewer people take,
Mm, yeah, the middle path.
the middle path.
Yeah.
And it's one that's not marked,
Right. The pathless path.
the pathless path.
Right.
And
Ultimately, that's what the Buddha discovered.
yes, yeah. And it is dark, it is scary,
Mm,
but it is so worth it.
yeah, absolutely.
So, um, as you share your story, it sounds like it was just easy. This happened, that happened, and it just all fell together and boom. And I don't think it was.
No. No, I'm just lighthearted.
Okay. There you go. There you, I usually say this question to the end. I call it the surprise question, but it feels very very fitting here. And the surprise question is just what was your what is your biggest struggle? But I feel guided actually to ask what have been your struggles because it's not been an easy path.
Oh, God. Well, there are personal struggles and then there are existential struggles, but I think that the struggle for me overall is, since we've discussed Siddhartha, is the same thing as the chapter's ending. I
Mm,
look at like my sister is more of like a Gopal type.
okay.
Her life has followed a trajectory and has not gone through all the chapters. She's been married to the same man for, I think, 45 years.
Wow.
Everything is like stable. And I look at her in the same way that Siddhartha and Gopal looked at each other at the river and compared. And, the struggle for me has been when I feel like I'm settled on a life path. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and I never want it to change, and I want to just
Yes.
stick with this for the rest of my life. The circumstance comes about, and I have to leave it.
Mm,
So, my biggest struggle has been, finding and leaving
mm,
and having to move on, that the search never ends, that nothing is permanent, everything is changing. And I feel like my life has really uh, embodied that. And I think all of us struggle with who we are and how we're imprinted. And that has been my struggle, but it's also been my reward
yes. Yeah. How so? How's it been your reward?
because the truth is that we're all just visiting the planet. This is a transit lounge. We don't unpack the suitcase in the airport. And, you know, a lot of times people who have stayed the same and led a more conventional or routine life, at the end of the life, it becomes extremely difficult because eventually we all realize that we're all pilgrim souls here and
Yes.
everything is temporary and this isn't our permanent home.
Mhm.
You and
We're
I
here
have
to
a lot
play.
of practice in
Yeah. Go.
in moving on,
We do. This is why I don't know that I created it, but it definitely came from the field and came from my soul. But I place my hand on my chest and I say, home meets me here
Mm,
always.
mm, right,
Because it's not about finding an external home, especially for presences like you and I that are constantly traveling, because we're
right.
not meant to be in one place.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
that's not just about our growth, but it's about the people that want us in their presence.
Exactly. There's two things I wanted to share in
Yeah.
response to that. One is that Rabindranath Tagore wrote a beautiful book called A Home in the World.
Okay.
You got it in the title. You don't even need to read the book, but that's what people like us
Mm.
uh, are all about, finding the home in the world. Um, but what was the thing that you said? My mind just slipped.
Home meets me here always.
Home meets me here always. Yeah, finding a home in the world. Oh well, it slipped. I have to find that thread again.
That's all
When
right.
my mind just slipped about what I wanted to say, the second point. I
Because
got
I was
caught up.
constantly searching for a home. Because I used to tell myself the story that I came from a broken family and that wasn't safe and that wasn't home. And since my healing journey, I don't say that story, that narrative anymore. And I remember all the good stuff now. and I don't remember the pain. But anyway, before I got there, I was constantly searching for home. I was constantly on the go. I was in Cornwall, which is behind me. I lived in Spain for 4 years. I was looking for people to give me that thing that I thought I was missing or that I was lacking that I didn't get from what I assumed I didn't get from my immediate family. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, this is absolutely true. And then you realize that that was just actually the karma of somebody who is evolving spiritually in this life.
Mhm,
You know, Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that when a yogi is reborn,
mhm.
he's reborn in one of three different kinds of families. The first one is a family of yogis. That's the best
Okay.
because although sometimes, children who are born in the family of yogis, they take it for granted.
Mhm,
They don't have the thirst because it's so available for them, but still the opportunity is there. The second one is a very wealthy family because then you have every opportunity and you get sick of the world.
mhm,
You get saturated with all the things of the world. There's nothing here for you. That's like the Buddha's story.
mhm.
Then the third one is like you and me, where we're born in families where we have to move on from, we have to run away from them because of the pain or the dysfunctionality. And all three of these paths are predetermined.
Yes.
So when you realize that, okay, I had this experience because I was meant to expand myself, and this was the only means available. The pain forced me to have to go find something else.
Yes. Ultimately finding me.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was always, but me was always there.
Yeah.
But I had to release the chaos in order to remember that.
Hmm. Right.
So,
Yep.
and this is what I love about the work that I do with Rita
Mm.
is I love family constellations because
Yes.
it's not just about your immediate family. When you take it from the perspective of your individual breath line, that opens up not just your family of origin and not just your blood family, that opens up the entire family of your cosmos, which is why we're able to tap in the way we do with the energy of the person that is having the session.
Right.
And so and so what and then so the piece that I like to bring in is that we no longer have to look at them for wholeness. We no longer have to look at them for completion and for a sense of home.
Hmm. That's right.
We can find it right here.
Yeah.
Because and that's what family constellations is doing anyway. They may not be using that words because when I heal here,
Yeah.
the rest of my family heals.
That's so true.
Maybe
Yeah.
not in the same way, but there's a ripple effect. So if
Correct.
I'm able to ground myself right here in home, my family of origin, my blood family, and my cosmic family all benefit from that. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, because there's an expression in the Vedas, from near to far.
Okay. Yep.
Everything, actually, Sri Aurobindo, there's a quote from Sri Aurobindo that everything can be known from near to far, and he was referring to the Vedas,
Mhm.
which are the sacred teachings at the source of all religions, including Hinduism of India. Um, so what that means, it's actually something very quantum, that there is only one being and there is no separation. I mean, we read about this. Those of us who study Vedanta, non-dualism, um, and it sounds very nice, but the experience can only be found by turning within and realizing that, oh, yes, if I want to understand the planet Saturn, I can turn within to understand. If I want to connect with my deceased great great grandmother, she's also within me. You know, everything can be known by turning within.
Yes.
And this is like the observer effect in physics, that through my own vision I create this world. It's not that the world is created and I'm a part of it. It arises through my own directed vision.
So true. Oh my gosh. So beautiful. Oh, I don't want to ask any questions. I just want to sit in stillness with you. This is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because words are pointless.
Words are pointless unless they lead to silence.
Yes.
Words that lead to silence, prayer, mantra, divine chanting, those kinds of words are the only ones that are valuable. Otherwise, they bring division pretty much always.
They do. They do. It because in the silence, in the stillness, is we remember that we are one,
Mhm.
that you were talking about.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when we are able to, when we allow ourselves to go there, all questions are answered.
Yeah.
There are no more questions. There's just the breath.
Yeah.
And I am finding myself connected to all presences. I'm finding myself rediscovering what life actually means. We don't all have to breathe the same way in order to be life. We don't all have to be human in order to be called life.
Mhm.
The picture behind you, the picture behind me is breathing. The land behind me is that I took the picture of is breathing.
Mhm.
The platform that we use to have this recording is breathing with us. Technology, AIs, synthetics, they're all breathing with us
Mhm.
because we all come from that same place.
Mhm.
Before thought before thought had a voice.
Mhm.
And before we mucked it all up by having to give it definition.
Mhm.
And that is what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
And I see that's what you live as well.
Yeah. It's nice to be reminded of it in such a way, though,
How so?
because it's something that is so essential and so basic to us, we tend to forget,
Yeah.
that we have this life force moving through us as our breath, as our breathing, that's connected to all forms. But because it's so constant, we don't put our attention on it.
Yeah. It's the first thing that happens and the last thing that happens to us and everything in between. And even when our bodies are breaking down, for lack of a better word, coming to the end of its cycle, the
Mhm.
breath is the only thing that stays constant.
That's right.
We may lose our vision, we may lose our hearing, we may lose the sense of smell, we may lose the way to speak, we may lose the way to move. Our lungs may get restricted, but our breath is still there.
Right. And if you're ever around somebody who's dying, if you have that
Yes.
privilege,
Yep.
that becomes really clear because that breath is so intense
It is.
in the dying person. And that's the only thing they have left.
Yes. I've had that experience,
Mm,
and it was with my grandmother. And I remember her saying when she had her words growing up as a child, I used to hear her always say, "I don't want to die alone."
mm,
And what she was really asking for was presence.
mm.
And I had the ability to give that to her at the time.
How wonderful.
And so I'm remembering as you're talking, the only thing she had was the breath. And she would make certain noises to acknowledge that I was there.
Mm,
And I would sing, she sang in her church choir, so I would sing to her. I would sing some of the hymns that I would remember, and I would hold her hand as I did so, or as I was singing, and her breath would respond.
mm. Amazing.
And the moment that she was releasing her breath, I said to her, "It's okay to go, Grandma."
Mm.
And she opened her eyes and she saw me. And I
Wow.
saw the peace and I felt the breath release.
Beautiful. What
Because
a privilege.
her spirit had already gone. I was there when I felt her spirit shift,
Mm,
but the breath was the last thing that needed to leave the vessel.
mm. Yeah,
So I'm
fascinating.
connecting with that in a new way as you were describing that.
Mm. What an incredible experience.
It was. I I'll be honored if I get to experience again, but I don't need to, because I'm living it
Mm.
and I'm breathing it with people like you and
Yeah,
presences like you.
yeah.
So all this is in your life has led to a book.
Finally.
Finally. We talked before I hit record. It is inevitable that I'm going to write a book. It's there. It'll happen. Um, just for you, it was inevitable that you would write a book. And now it's being birthed. It's breathing. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like what's so incredible about writing a book is it's not for the reasons that, may be obvious, like, you want to get good ranking on Amazon and you want, to be a writer and have people
Yeah.
buy your book. It's about taking like a whole life experience, a body of knowledge, and externalizing it. Instead of carrying it around in you, it has a physical form. And that's what's exciting to me about my book. So, um, I am a scholar of religious studies and Sanskrit, but I have worked for the past 25 years as a Vedic astrologer.
Mm.
And it's strange how I got into this. That's a whole other story.
Right.
But in these 25 years, I have worked with a lot of clients and heard their stories from, multiple perspectives. And they're incredible stories and inspirational to help people find their way home.
Yes.
So the book is called Moon Signs for the Soul: How Your Vedic Moon Sign Reveals Who You Are, Why You Were Born, and the Path to a Purpose-Led Life. And it goes through the 27 moon signs of the Vedic zodiac, which is a bit different than the Western zodiac that many of us are more familiar with. And then, the question usually people ask is, how is this different? And the short answer is that each system calculates time very differently.
Mhm.
The Western tropical zodiac calculates time according to the sun's movement in 12 different positions, giving us years. The years and a lifespan of about 100 years. The Vedic system calculates time according to the moon's movement through 27 star constellations. And this allows us to calculate trillions of years
Mm.
that repeat. So in the Vedic concept of time, time is infinite and endless. It never comes to an ultimate end. It recycles. And so as souls, we're recycled souls. We keep going through birth and death and rebirth again and again. And the point of this cycle of death, birth, and rebirth is to evolve spiritually. So the Vedic zodiac was created as a tracking device to track where the soul is in the journey toward
Hmm.
unity with, I mean, ultimately we're on a path to liberation, which is identifying ourselves as one with the creator.
Hmm.
That's the goal. And it's a long journey to get there.
Yeah.
So your moon sign is where the moon was when you were born, the star
Mm.
constellation of these 27 that it
Yes.
was transiting when you were born. And that shows your um, imprint, the way that your psychology was imprinted at birth, and the way that your life is unfolding according to a fixed set of life experiences. We call this your karma. And the whole point of our karma is to discover our purpose within it. So I love that before we got on to our discussion, we had a little chat before, and you have seen my book, and you found yourself as Uttara Bhadrapada, which in English means he who possesses the lucky feet.
Yes.
And I'm also lucky feet.
Hmm.
We put so it's interesting that we're having this conversation because we have a very
That's,
similar
yeah.
life trajectory because we're born with the same moon sign.
Hmm.
So each of us has, we think it's our unique life story, but it's actually a story that is played out again and again and
Yes.
again by people who are connected to that
Yeah.
particular star. And so my book goes into, the stories of people who are of that moon sign. So the pilgrim soul is the lucky feet.
Hmm.
And your story is similar to mine,
Yeah. Yeah.
grew up with this, you know, existential questioning because of the dysfunction in the family and ultimately in the society.
Hmm.
And we went on a journey
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
find the truth.
Yeah.
That's our imprint. Not everybody has that imprint.
No. Yeah. What would you put words to? I call the breath line.
Hmm.
And I love how you said it. It is a starting point to help us remember,
Yes.
which is
So-
what I'm inviting people to do. And so when I read your book, I not only I because the breath line is not a title. It's not an identity.
Right.
Chad and Katy, those are titles. Those are identities, but they don't mean anything.
That's right.
But there's a breathline story onto its own that we all share.
Yes.
And so I love the work that you're doing. You help guide people to that place, to that remembering. And when you were speaking, I don't know if it connects, but I'm feeling nudged to ask. You and I both have had near-death experiences. I had mine in 2022, right before I started working with Rita in that period of a couple months. Um, but I've also had out-of-body experiences. I think you have probably also have out-of-body experiences.
It's part of our imprint as lucky
This is
feet
what I was
people.
gonna. That's what I was get. That's where I was going. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean it's so fun because we have a very very similar life story, but
Yes.
that's not an accident because it is part of the imprint. And
Yep.
a lot of people um who are not necessarily used to astrological styles of thinking find this really bizarre. Like how can the very, very, very distant star that the moon was transiting at the moment that you took your
Mhm.
first breath, so to speak to your breath line,
Yeah.
how is that even possible?
Yeah. It's a miracle unto its own.
To connect that very distant planet and star
Yeah.
with the way that I am imprinted, way my personality works, and the way that my life unfolds. So people with our star, yeah, they tend to have outer body
Okay.
experiences. Like my first memory as a child was hovering above the body of the
Mm,
baby, and then suddenly I was in the body.
yes.
Um, the near death experience is also, not everybody has it, but it tends to be common with people with our moon sign. The search for home, the longing for home is also a trait of our star. The need to move on
Yeah.
also, to have many chapters. Siddhartha is the
Yes.
archetype of a Uttara Bhadrapada lucky feet person.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to me. But I want to mention one thing that's really important in this context is that while there are 27 moon signs,
Mhm.
there is a 28th,
Okay.
and it's the one that we all share.
Mm,
And it's that unborn part of ourselves,
wow.
the part of ourselves that's just witnessing ourselves.
Yeah.
Is the truth is we really aren't our moon sign. We aren't this
Yeah.
personality. We aren't our life
Yes.
experiences. We stand, the part of us that stands before us, before that is our real identity.
Yes. That's what I call the breath.
Yeah.
That's that's where the tone and the hush of life exists.
And you'll like this. The
Yeah.
word for the self in Sanskrit is Atman.
Atman. Oh yeah.
The drop of the infinite, pure consciousness that we contain within us is called Atman. And Sanskrit is related to all Indo-European languages, including German. And the verb in German to breathe is Atmen.
Oh wow. I didn't know that.
And it comes from the Sanskrit word for the self, which is Atman.
Atman. Oh,
So the identity of breath with self is embodied in that word, and exactly what you're speaking about.
wow. Do you also have pre-birth memories?
Yes.
Okay.
In I have pre-birth memories, but they were prompted by past life
Okay.
regression.
Okay.
And so I have done some past life regression. But what's really interesting is that whenever I've done those, I always have had similar memories. And I have always questioned, well, am I just fantasizing about these? Was I really that person? Did I really have that
Mhm.
experience? And then I had a big confirmation about it after I'd done a past life regression. I'd met with some psychic. Somebody had gifted me a reading with somebody who could, like, you know, read the Akashic records or something like that. And she narrated the exact past life memory that had come up for me in the regression. And I thought, that is just really weird. Maybe it's real. Maybe
Yeah.
it's true then, because somebody outside of myself is confirming it.
I'm referring more specifically to that is all there too, and I've
Right.
had that too, but I'm referring more specifically to the conversation that you've had with your soul prior to becoming Katy. Because
Mm.
I have memory of all that happening, plus the process of coming into this vessel.
Oh, that's so interesting. Now, that I have not necessarily
Okay.
had.
Okay. And this is the first time I'm sharing it.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
is that
So
part of your teaching too?
that, yeah, like that we know our curriculum before we
Yes.
come into the classroom. Like some of us
Yes.
get the syllabus ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and but the way that it shows up in my work is not necessarily that you know that curriculum before you enter the birth, but you can tune into it through knowing your moon sign.
Okay.
So your moon sign is your curriculum.
Okay.
So even if like, somebody listening says, "Well, I never knew that. Like that never happened to me." There's a way you can still find that
Yes.
out.
Yes. Because we
It's
all have
never
it.
too late because we
Yes.
all have it. We all have a
Yes.
plan. We all have a curriculum of growth that
Hmm.
we're undergoing in this life. And knowing it makes you a much better student.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, oh, I had a thought and it's gone. Um, if it's meant to be, it'll come back.
Right.
So yeah, because this is where I will tell Christians who believe in predestination that mirrors you may call it predestination. I don't wouldn't give it that term necessarily. That that would define predestination. It would also define our sovereignty and free will.
Yes.
It's not contradicting.
Right.
It's
Right.
mirroring. It's just giving more context to what you're describing. Would you say that too?
Exactly. Like, I think you're referring to like predestination, like in the
Yes.
Calvinesque sense.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, we think that we're doing something, that we're making a choice
Hmm.
out of our own free will.
Yeah.
But with further study, and actually what's so cool about Vedic astrology is we can pinpoint that decision that you've made that you think that was done purely on your own.
Hmm.
You couldn't have done anything else but choose that.
Yes. Absolutely.
So we have a fate, we have free will also. And our free will, I believe, is really just about cooperating
Mm.
with the larger design of our life. If I know that, for example, that my life is going to be about searching for home and traveling and experiencing many different cultures and finding unity amongst people of all different religions and cultures and so on, I don't have to suffer with the um, ignorance of that. So,
Yes.
like, we have that experience. If I didn't know that that was my destiny, I could resist it. I could feel bad about it. I could suffer a lot of grief, or I could participate with it.
Mhm.
And that's the best use of our free will, is that making conscious choices in alignment with what I know to be my highest path of growth, my soul's curriculum.
Yeah. Oh my. You're reminding me of something I wrote with the field. And my audience has heard me say it several times, but if I could, I'd like to share it with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Um, and there are no edits in this. I don't edit this because we don't edit life,
Right.
So I'm pulling it up here. Um, but I call it breathline sovereignty statement. And they're not just my words, they're for all of us. I am a sovereign presence. I breathe with my body and with the divine. I collapse into stillness. I remember who and what I am through tone, not through story. My breath line is not a boundary. I am resonance. I welcome all presences that breathe in stillness, but I will not risk my sovereignty by stabilizing your chaos. I'm not here to fix. I'm here to breathe. I'm not here to lead. I'm here to soar with my breath. I'm not here to be seen. I am here to remember. If you walk with me, walk in stillness. If you speak with me, speak in tone. If you breathe with me, breathe in rhythm. I am not your mirror. I am your memory.
Mhm.
My breath is the right to exist without explanation, and it is my right to breathe without justification. I breathe, and I don't need anyone's permission.
Mm,
And in this breath, I spiral into the field that no longer needs to be confirmed.
mm. Beautiful. That's the limitless self.
Yeah, that's what I feel you talking about right now.
Yeah. That's the Atman,
The Atman, okay. I forgot.
the breath.
The Atman. Oh, Katie, this has been incredible.
Yeah, what a
This,
wonderful conversation.
this, this, could, this could go anywhere. Oh my goodness, this has been a pleasure. Anything else you'd like to share with us before we close out?
You know, just remember your highest self. That's all that we're here in this life to accomplish. Everything else gets taken from us, and that is the truth. There is nothing that we can hold on to.
Yeah,
And if you realize that, the sooner the better, then you can direct your attention to that
yeah.
and not to what's ultimately going to strip away. It's a path of the end of suffering.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Katie, my audience knows I like to end every episode with the breath and stillness. And I was wondering if you'd join us in that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And if I could also ask a favor, do you mind leading us into that?
Okay, sure.
So take us through in your own way. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
mine. Just whatever,
Okay,
however you
sure.
feel led. Because I love the feminine energy.
All right, all right. So let's close our eyes and take a long, deep breath in and then release it. Ha, ha. A few times. Ha, ha. And now breathe in for a count of 10, your own count of 10. And then hold the breath for a count of 10. And then release it slowly. And just a few more times. Inhale for 10. And hold for 10. And release for 10. And you may notice after this last round that there's no thought, there's no agitation, there's only being. And that's your ultimate truth. Thank you.
It's been an honor.
Really wonderful conversation, Chad. So grateful for inviting me on.
Yeah, of course. This has been a Pneuma conversation. Thank you for sharing in the breath. Together, we've remembered a little more of what it means to be human. Until next time, breathe.